All right, so I got a World War III update for you. Really banging out the videos today. It's kind of cool, my fire ain't going. Guess my wood's too green. All right, so don't have a lot, but I got like anything. Got stuff. Okay, NATO allied drills in Romania. They're going on like I don't think they've stopped, but they got a new round. Assange said he's not working for the Russians. That's it, but it always benefits the Russians. But again, we live in a world where all the Russians have to do to make the U.S. look bad is tell the truth, right? So we're living those kind of times. So that's kind of crazy times. I don't know about Assange. You know, Snowden. I'm pretty sure Snowden is a double, triple, quadruple, quadruple times infinity spy. It just fits. Now Assange could be a spy. That is very possible. I mean, he's still alive, to my knowledge. I think Snowden is still alive, to my knowledge. After Clinton wins, I don't think they will be. They do seem to have military, jackboot thugs sitting outside the Ecuadorian embassy where Assange is to arrest him. Think of the money that they're spending on to arrest this guy. Think about that. Now, there's something that you have to understand about Julian Assange, and this is the thing that's the most telling, is they're going after him because he's releasing secrets and national security. But they're not denying anything he's saying. So, they don't care that what he's saying is true, which if you're an FBI agent or CIA or whatever, or DHS or anything like that, and you hear this stuff, an NSA or whatever, you hear this stuff, and you're not turning on your system and going after the directors, then you are part of the system. You are a terrorist. You are anti-patriot. You are anti-constitutional. You hate your own country if you hold up that system. You need to put those people in jail. Once the whistleblowers have come forward, yes, you can. And under Obama, more whistleblowers have been persecuted than any other president in history. The transparency president, I don't think so. But he does. Yeah, the fact that nobody's denying it. He does, again, is he working for the Russians? It doesn't really matter if he is or not. Think about what he's exposing, right? Clinton admits that she wanted to rig the election, for Israel. So basically, again, that's how these Zionist neocons always talk, is everything for Israel. So Palestine had this election, not sure about all the details on it, and it went into their favor, and she was like, she would like to do that. So if you don't think Israel would have the United States at war like that as soon as Hillary Clinton wins, think again. Steve Pachenik out there talking about is U.S. soft coup. I should do a video solely on that, because I do follow Steve Pachenik on Alex Jones as much as possible, but like anything, where's the proof of what he's saying? You do see some of the revolt in the FBI, that is clear, that type of thing. You can kind of see patterns of it, but he does make references to Henry Kissinger, which makes me nervous, because he makes Henry Kissinger sound like a good guy. He thanks the Trump family, a non-political family, for stepping up for the country for this soft coup. So was Trump in on it all along? I don't know. I really don't know. He also gives Bernie Sanders a kind of a nod. So, and keeps referring to Bernie Sanders. So I really don't know if Steve Pachenik, I do believe he is a good guy hellhound, but I do believe he is a gray area hellhound. And the hellhounds, the reason why I got to keep putting out hellhounds so is you can recognize them when you see them. Hellhounds attack the system. Hydra attack the people. So Hell Hydra, loyalists, they believe in one cause. You can't reason with them. You can't bargain with them. They just show up in the droves. You kill one, 10 more pop up. And you could see these guys as ISIS or whatever. They just attack the populace mainly. They do go after Assad or whatever, but they're mainly attacking the populace, that type of thing. Whereas you would look at, people who attack the system, I hate to use them, but Justin Bork up here in Canada, he was kind of like the signifying of the hellhounds, where he went after RCMP officers. You got that guy that went after police officers in the States there in Ohio, I believe it was, a couple of days ago or a week ago. Again, a hellhound. They go after the system. The two military guys that went after law enforcement, the African-American guys, for Black Lives Matter. You would think they were Hydra, but no, they're actually hellhounds. Doesn't mean they're good, doesn't mean they're bad. It means they go after the system. So hellhounds go after the system. Donald Trump is going after the system. He is a hellhound. Steve Pieczenik is a hellhound. He's going after the system. But he's a good guy or a bad guy? I don't know. There are questions. Alex Jones is a hellhound. He's going after the system. These are first wave hellhounds. Second wave are much more violent. They will most likely be active duty law enforcement and military, and they will most likely kill politicians and judges and lawyers and people in the system, probably even their own. We're not going to know the names of these people unless they get caught. It'll be very spy vs. spy, James Bond-ish kind of stuff, 007. When 007 gets knocked off, in comes 008 and 009. We'll probably get up to 1053. There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of. Just watch for a lot of world elites just dropping dead, suicides, that type of thing, and prominent people. Days before they testify in banking and stuff. We saw it with the 84 bankers killed in 1 year. Well, it might have been more like 115 bankers, but I know 84 for sure that got killed off in 2011, 2010. Mass banker suicides. You're starting to see a new round of those. They're still low, but their banker suicides are not out of the norm. But the ones that jump off buildings are probably pretty legit. But the 90-pound or 110-pound women that jump through plate glass windows on the 8th floor, I don't know. I think they might have been given a little bit of extra. And the guys that the bankers that shoot themselves in the back of the head with the nail guns 9 times. Yes, pass loads can jump on you. But 9 times, again, 5 is my record, and that's on a 2x4, straight on, that type of thing. So, again, I do know how things work. That's why it's hard to pull the wool over my eyes on stuff, because, okay, I'm not a mechanical engineer, but sometimes it's just like, that doesn't work. You can't do that without help, you can't strangle yourself off a door when the doorknob is too low. You know what I mean? Like, you really can't do that. It just doesn't work, like that type of thing. You can't write your suicide letter 2 days after you died. You just can't do that. Now that the last one, I'm just giving that as an example. That one didn't happen, but anyway, you get the idea. So Steve Pieczenik, keep an eye on that. I don't think, and if this coup was the coup that he says, we'll only know after a Trump win, but he's not going to win. I think, if anything, if Trump was in on it, like I've been saying, again, you have to watch these things for a long time to figure out, and it's only right near the end of the plan where you can kind of, okay, I get it now. If Trump is on the other side, and he's not who he says he is, then what you've got is everybody that voted for him with electronic voting machines and everything like that, people that supported him, that are on the GOP ballot for Trump, they now are documented. So they've exposed themselves. Now, I still say you got to go all in on this one. Anyway, there's no choice on it. There is no moderate on it. There is no greater evil or lesser evil on this one. It's you vote or you die on this one. You have to vote against Hillary Clinton no matter what. Apparently, Democrats are voting for Trump in the droves because they can't throw their vote at Bernie Sanders. Jill Stein is a communist. Like Bernie Sanders was anyway. Most students will gravitate towards communism. I don't know why that is. It just is. I guess the professors, brainwash them well. And they think their round of communism will be the one to work this time. But it never works. That said, another thing to keep in mind about this election is prepare for war the morning of Hillary Clinton's win. I don't know how quick we go to war. It will probably not happen until after her inauguration, but I think they will probably find reasons to speed up her inauguration. Because if they don't, they're going to have to kill her because at that point, the second stage hellhounds go full batshit crazy, start knocking off the people in the way, start bringing out the charges against Clinton to bring her down, Kissinger down, and if she goes down, whoever the vice president is for Hillary Clinton, that's who you have to really watch because that's who's going to be the president after they knock Hillary Clinton off. And if it's Joe Biden, God help your children. I just hope that video that's out there is not real. It's just so disgusting. It disturbs me. Stuff like that gives me nightmares. It was just so chilling. Rubbing the 13-year-old girl's shoulders in that photo op was creepy enough as it is. Again, I don't know who this child was, but if he said to her the things that, again, I really want to hear clear audio on that. I don't want to say that's true, but it's not beyond belief, considering the groups these people run in. Agazu, yeah, I know, it freaks me out too. But if he's the person, they don't really have much on Joe Biden yet. Now, that's if he becomes the vice president. Now, the reason why they would kill Hillary Clinton is if they can put her to jail. If they can put her into jail, then she's a linchpin. She takes down Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Soros, Brzezinski, Kissinger, and a whole host of other people I'm not even aware of. The amount of people that she can take down, Goldman Sachs, the IMF, all this, the Federal Reserve, she takes them all down because she burns, everybody burns. That's the kind of woman she is, and she's linked to everything. So they may have to kill her after the election, whether that's a threat or not. It's tying up loose ends. So that could be the real coup. And if Hillary Clinton dies, I believe if she wins, she's marked for death no matter what. Because the hellhounds, if her own New World Order puppeteers don't get her, the hellhounds will. Because it's very, very, very clear that the rule of law has been lost when she wins. There is no more rule of law. And when people stop believing in rule of law, bad things happen. I'm not making any threats. I'm just telling you this is most likely what's going to happen. They will probably most likely be assassination attempts left, right, and center on Hillary Clinton. This woman will not be able to see the light of day. The amount of patriots that'll just try to kill her, which creates the crackdown, the civil war, etc., etc. There's going to be civil war in the States. I think at this point, it's under Trump, it will be short-lived. The race war will be short-lived. Under Clinton, the race war will be short-lived because Clinton has to be the savior of the minorities, right? Because that's what the system is. So George Soros will just stop funding Black Lives Matter. It will die down. There will still be legitimate protests out there, but it will not be carried on. And trust me, the media will not cover it. So if you're a Black Lives Matter person, and I guess you can call me racist big if you want, but you're going to be thrown under the bus like all useful idiots get thrown under the bus. It's a subversion program. I can't stress that enough. But anyway, I don't want to dwell too much on that because I've already covered this ground, but I got to instate its importance. So when Hillary Clinton wins, it's a vote for war with Russia. We know this. Right now, 5,000 JTF, Joint Task Force, these are specialty groups from a few nations, are going across Europe to basically repel Russia. This is going across Eastern Europe. So there's going to be 5,000 of these specialty forces. Again, a lot coming from these are going to be British, they're going to be American, they're going to be German, they're all over the place. Again, Norway using 300 U.S. foreign troops, 300 German troops. This is the first time Norway's had these kind of, not exercises, but coordinations with these type of troops. First time in I forget how many years. Might have been a good while anyway. So we got that going on. And even though this started, these are going to be Marine Corps troops going to Norway. This thing where they started putting stuff into Norway and working with Norway, I think started in 1981. And the idea, now they've got all these caves full of Abrams tanks, and they bring over 50 to 150 a year, it seems. So they're building up clearly in Norway, and Finland. I guess they'll be jumping in pretty soon too. The Norway caves have enough equipment in it to support 15,000 troops. So that's quite substantial. For how long a period, I don't know. But that gives you an idea of the build-up in Norway. Australia is also talking about stepping up maritime patrol. They're in talks right now, and again, this is going to be against the Chinese for the South, the South Pacific. So the Australians, again, I think the Australians are in a rock and a hard place. China owns them, and they got to go to war with them. It's not going to be good. Duterte over there in the Philippines is worried about being knocked off. He's openly saying that. He knows the United States wants regime change there now. So watch for the Philippines being destabilized. Yes, there's going to be civil war and color revolutions in Philippines. Why they'll have a civil war, my guess is when they see the color revolutions, they're going to know that they're George Soros funded and American organized. So they're going to just crack down on those people, probably killing a lot of those protesters, which will lead to a civil war in the Philippines, which is exactly the U.S. kind of regime change program that they have going on. So how Duterte will... The best way he can do is just let the protests go on, but he is a dictator. He has killed 3,000 drug cartels already. If they're actually all drug cartels, it's hard to say. But you get that. China's getting ready for its second aircraft carrier to be being built. I don't know how far along that is. They're pretty much on par with their first aircraft carrier. They've got the J-10s on there, which are basically an Su-27 variant. They got other things. They've also just unreleased their new J-20, which is their stealth. I don't know. There's a J-15 and a J-20 stealth aircraft that the Chinese have been, I guess, like the YF-22 and the YF-23 kind of program. Which one was better? But this new stealth that China is building, basically, it's a forward canard delta wing, kind of like a Eurofighter or Typhoon, but a stealthy version. It does have an interesting concept of how it deploys its missiles. It just, instead of a door bay opening up and a big thing coming down and a rail coming down and firing off the missile, it just kind of unfolds out and closes the door again, keeping the missile tight to the fuselage and more stealthy. So it does look like it's a pretty advanced aircraft. That said, being built in China, like anything, China's a weird thing when it comes to quality control. Their good stuff is amazing, but few and far between. But they do kind of mass produce everything, and they don't really give consideration to survivability. Kind of like the Soviet Union was. The man was the expendable. The MiGs were replaceable, and the man was expendable. So that type of thing. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But I do believe it's. I mean, it does look like a pretty powerful jet. It does look like it can. You know, the Chinese do have a good military. There is no doubt about that. Is it as good as the United States? It's lacking in some areas, but not as much as you would think. A war against China would be an unbeatable war. I don't think anybody really wins it, but a hell of a lot of people die. It would have to go nuclear, and the Chinese doctrine is if they think they're going to lose the war in their region, they go nuclear. So, yeah, that's their official government status. The other thing, too, you have to keep in mind is that their amphibious force, okay, the Chinese the force that they're building, basically they designed to take Taiwan. It's basically all these amphibious tanks, and they're the fastest amphibious tanks. Now, I know the Americans have the AAA, the AA and the AAA, and I know those things are pretty fast landing craft, but I don't know. I think right now they're saying that the ZB-D05 is the fastest armored amphib tank, person air carrier, 45 kilometers an hour in the water, so that's pretty fast. And these things, you watch them doing their drills, like they can make a beach landing so fast, but they're making a beach landing not with like World War II style with these. Well, they would have these, troop transports. The fence falls down, and all these guys run. No, these things are the tanks rolling right onto the beach, coming in pretty fast. The problem they have with these amphib tanks is they're okay where they're deployed, but they don't have the method of moving the tanks in large numbers. So if they're already on that coastal area, like for example, they got them built up in a couple of regions throughout the country, particularly aiming towards Taiwan, so they could close the gap between China and Taiwan fairly quickly. So they're going to be working on ships to do that. And they're also going to be working on those AN-225s. They're going to be building, the largest amount. These are the largest heavy lift aircraft ever built. 6 engines built from the Ukraine. I don't know how many of them there are. There's only a handful of them. But the Chinese are going to build a whole bunch of them. These heavy lift things. So in other words, they could make a Red Dawn style 1,000-man paratrooper aircrafts in large numbers reality for the Chinese. So landing craft, again, the Chinese are designing an island hopping war. The Americans can't take that. They don't have enough warships to do this. So they can send tanks from one island to another. They might not be able to do it quickly, but if they put these little tanks everywhere, they can just hop from island to island if the islands are close enough. At 45 kilometers an hour, some of these islands are close enough. They can be everywhere. So, warship comes by, one of these little, I think they have like I don't know what armament they have, probably like a 30-millimeter cannon on it. So your Aegis warship's coming through the channel, pow, 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 pow. There goes your deck gun, okay. You fire a couple of missiles. They riddle a ship full of 30-millimeter cannon fire. They can take out the air guard system and the main gun. They take out the main gun first. The air guard system is probably not going to. It's 20 millimeters. It's not going to do anything against it. So you got two guys. One guy, again, sitting there in the weeds in the thicket. Off, pow, 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 pow. They're just going to open fire. A couple of artillery guns. A warship hasn't got a chance. The starburst shells aren't going to save you. You're too close. If they're fired off the coast, well, that doesn't do them any good either, because the range of their main gun might be 5 kilometers. 12 at the best, so they've got to solely rely on cruise missiles. But then, when you're out that far, then you're, again, they're going to have these things moving cruise missiles from island to island. All these amphibious ships they got that they are unveiling is quite. They're quite unique. Nobody really quite, even the Russians don't quite have an amphib force like the Chinese. So the Chinese are really designed to fight an island-hopping war. The Americans don't have that kind of equipment. Abrams tanks, they'll sink. The Type 99, I think it will zoom right across. They've got, they got water jets on the bottom of them. They go across. I'm pretty sure the Type 99 has it as well. Not all of them, but a good proportion of them. So they have an entire amphib force, and it's 5 times larger than what it was, doubled in size in 5 years. So that tells you something. I don't know if you guys heard, Egypt devalued its currency 48%. Now, what they're doing, so instead of 8 of their pounds to the U.S. dollar, now it's 13 pounds to the U.S. dollar. So I think what they're doing is trying to get a bailout of some sort. I don't know. So in other words, your tax dollars are going to go bail out Egypt. That's how globalism works, right? But I don't know. I could see this being a real black swan, not yet realized. So we'll have to keep an eye on Egypt. Now, you have to also understand Egypt is kind of in that kind of, whose side are they really on, the Russians or the Americans? It's really hard to tell right now. They're buying more Russian equipment. They do tend to be playing more towards Russia. Egypt has kind of just stepped out of the light recently, haven't you noticed? They're not really in on the coalition airstrikes as much. They're there, but they're really seem to be switching to the other side. If they do, the Rothschild-owned Suez Canal gets, again, Egypt, they've already tried regime change in Egypt quite a few times. They have to let it settle down, because if the Russians work it out with the Egyptians, the Suez Canal will no longer be Rothschild-owned. Yeah, the Mediterranean then is owned by the Russians. Think about that. Again, hell of a war this is. So I forgot to make the video of all the winners from the donations for the channel. First place was GoPro, 13 votes, and all the attachments. Galaxy S6 was 12 votes. Green screen was also 12 votes, and everything went down. I obviously can't afford the GoPro and the attachments and the Galaxy, but I might be able to jump to the green screen. So just so you know, I meant to make a separate video on that. I will be picking up that stuff probably, I'll try maybe next week, the week after, as soon as possible. So I'm going to have to do my Christmas shopping and that anyway, so I'll try to do it all in one sweep. Sorry for the delay, but so much going on right now with the election and all that. Between 5,000 and 6,000 troops in Iraq, basically stepping up 14,000 to 15,000. So again, Obama's anti-war stuff, they keep calling them advisors, but these are, this is war, Now, I get it. Okay, you have 300 guys with boots on the ground, combat soldiers, and you have 5,000 guys supporting them. I get how the military works in that kind of, maybe not 5,000, but you get the idea. They got to build a base, they got to run the base, they got to do this, they got to service the jets. Like the pilot is the cheap part of the jet. It's the other 3 to 25 guys working on the aircrafts that are the real expense, right? So I get that. This one is kind of a scary one. And we had Joe Biden talking about this. The U.S. has declared cyber war on the Russian army, the tech. Basically, they're targeting no rules of engagement. This is very terrifying. Again, this is what's going on for the day of the election. So I think what they're going to do is to pull the plug on Trump is basically the day of the election. If Trump is so far in the lead, what they can do is blame that the Russian hackers, the George Soros funded machines, or owned machines, are going to basically somehow, they're going to target, basically, we're talking power plants, subway stations, power grids, media of the Russians. And the Russians know this. They know this is coming. The Americans are going to do a direct, deliberate cyber attack of war on the Russians. Now, are the Russians attacking the United States? According to Hillary Clinton's 17 intelligence agencies, again, the intelligence agencies that keep defending her, can we really believe them? No. But to do that against Russia, I mean, if you take down Russian infrastructure grid, again, that's how Hillary Clinton can get us into the war. Martial law will have to be declared. They'll have to say, oh, well, we have to inaugurate the president right away, because she's going to go take us into crisis mode right away, And if not crisis mode right away, it'll be crisis mode within, 100 days of her inauguration. I believe she'll have us on the brink of thermonuclear war with Russia. Now, you'd say that doesn't make sense. Well, I remember when George Bush Jr. got hired, so to speak, his inauguration speech, I said, that man's taking us to war. It was 27 days. I counted. 27 days we were at war. I got to get that fire going. It's freaking cold in here. So, yeah, to purposely, again, with no proof, again, what proof have you seen? I mean, just tell me what proof you've seen of, Russia cyber attacking the United States. I just haven't seen any. And because there is no proof. We know there's no proof. We know that this is a warmongering neocon agenda. So that's very, very, very scary. I got to say that. NATO intercepted 4 Russian bomber groups this week. There's so much activity with the Russian bombers. It's kind of hard to tell who's going where at what day, whatever. But we can see in 2014 was the record-breaking for the Russian incursions into on NATO's borders. Well, I don't know what 2015 has been. It's got to be some sort of super record. It's just unbelievable what's going on. Get in here, you. Burn, you bastards. Burn. All right. So we see all this going on, and it's getting to the point, again, the British have got orders to shoot down Russian aircraft if they feel threatened, etc., etc. It's just, the escalation, the only ones with a cooler head really does seem to be the Russians. And again, I know some people think I'm just anti-U.S. and pro-Russia, but again, no, I don't trust Putin as far as you could throw him. He just plays a better, more believable game. Is he for his people? I do believe I don't think he's so much for his people. He's more for the Federation, the Russian Federation. Again, we see all like Putin's new guys are pretty scary too. You'll have to excuse me here. It's just I'm freezing. I have to get this fire going. So Putin's new guys are, I don't know if that will actually be a good thing because he's getting a very loyal yes man as himself that won't hesitate to basically launch nuclear missiles. So that does kind of put you in a position of, oh dear God, what's going on there. Burn, you bastards. I know that's not the best way to set up a fire, but I got to get it going somehow. I'm going to stay here until I get it going. So with that going on, for all you Brexiters, looks like the Ramoners, as they call them, it looks like Brexit isn't going to happen. Article 50, basically, the politicians are going to basically get the final word on Brexit, how they're going to do the Brexit. So, in other words, there is going to be no Brexit. So, there will be revolution in England as well, UK throughout. People who didn't want to go versus the people who wanted to go versus democracy. So, there is no democracy. So, you will see it there, but it's a little bit further out. And, of course, you just had a new batch of migrants coming in. And, again, what they'll do is they'll stall it until the migrants can outvote the people. Yes, the migrants will be allowed to vote sooner than you think. That's what they do in the States. The illegals can vote multiple times if they want. People that have been dead for 120 years can vote if they want. You get that. That's what's going on. The FBI is putting a lawsuit against Loretta Lynch, again, running defense against Hillary Clinton for running defense. Again, these people have got to be protected. They have to double down. So they're going to be protected when Clinton wins, but they're probably going to get knocked off because they're a liability. That type of thing. Talked about Stepachenik's coup. The Serbian, Belarus, Slav Brotherhood drill is going to be taking part in 2016. This is basically the Russians working with those areas again, where NATO's building up in Romania and Lithuania and Norway and all that. Well, the Russians are doing the same thing as a counter, so it's an escalation. So that's kind of what's going on. I'll just leave it at that. I know it's kind of a short one, but with so much covering on the election today and all that, it's just so much to cover. But anyway, I'll keep you guys posted. Today is the 7th. Again, if I could give you guys any advice, because I really don't know everything that's going to happen, obviously. And again, some of the stuff I say happens now. Sometimes it happens 2 years later. Sometimes it just hasn't happened yet. But I do tend to have a good grasp on these things. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I am being as honest with you with the information I find as possible. Think for yourselves. There is a possibility that things could go things I can't even predict over this election. And I really suggest if you've got money, at least go get something, as much as you can pull out of the bank. You don't have to take your entire account, but I would store as much money at home or somewhere else as you can to, just in case the markets go down, whatever. Again, if Trump wins, they're going to crash the economy on his watch. Do they do it on day one? I don't know. right now the stock market's on the mainstream media, which is telling you that there's a great recovery and everything's good, is saying Hillary Clinton is going to win. On the backside, that isn't rigged up by the mainstream media, is saying Trump is going to win. The polls are saying Trump is going to win. The Russians would rather have a Trump win than, and again, right now Hillary Clinton's answer for everything is Russia did it. If you burnt your toast this morning, Russia did it. So drilling on Assange, he's a Russian agent. Donald Trump is a Russian agent. I mean, again, you get the Donald Trump. I don't think he's a Russian agent. He might be convincing on everything else, but to a degree. But and yes, there is issues with Trump. He is going to be a hell of an authoritarian, but you'll survive him. But as far as a Russian agent, no, he's not a Russian agent. A truther, yes. A Russian agent, no. Assange or Snowden, I believe Snowden is a Russian double agent, triple agent, quadruple times infinity agent. I don't know where this guy really, loyalties really lie, but he does seem to be more of a Russian agent. Assange benefits the Russians, but I don't know if he's actually a Russian agent or not, but he could be. He could be. But it doesn't really matter. The information speaks for itself, that type of thing. And the way the system goes after Assange, not for, for exposing the corruption, but for the fact that, he's a national terrorist, whatever, and all that. I get that, yes, you got to keep your stuff safe, but the fact that they don't even take anything of what he's exposed and investigate it, that tells you how the system is protecting itself. So again, if you work for the FBI, the NSA, the DHS, you are a terrorist against your own people. Unless you're doing the right thing and getting these people, I can't go against my director, I'll lose my paycheck. Well, you're going to lose your country and your family. So, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. It's tough times, you got to do the right thing. Do you want the kids of the future to have to deal with this? I don't. I'd rather take the tough times now. You know what I mean? Again, I don't call for violence, I call for the restoring of rule of law. Although I do believe the first wave hellhounds have failed, tomorrow will signify when Hillary Clinton wins. I don't think they're going to give it to her by much. I think they're just going to give it to her enough because they have to make it semi-believable. But she's going to win because it's her turn to win. The reason why she's going to win is because it's rigged, and the same reason why the economic collapse hasn't occurred again is because it's rigged. The same people that rigged the economy are the same people promoting Hillary Clinton and investing in Hillary Clinton. And that's what it is. It's an investment. They paid for her. They donated to her campaign. They gave her the stardom, her 15 minutes. And they want to, you invest in stocks, you invest in politicians. It's the same thing. And they want to make money off of this. And they're going to make money off of this under Clinton. They're going to make beyond money. The amount of nightmares that's coming under her is going to be, wow. But it is what it is. I do believe, and again, I'm not making any threats, but there will be several attempts on Hillary Clinton because if they can put her in jail, then her side, the Kissinger will have to order her death. We're never going to be able to prove it, but it'll be pretty obvious. She's going to die of some sort of drug overdose or something like that, or she really did have cancer all along or whatever. Some people say there's more than one Hillary out there. I don't know about that. I haven't looked into that. I don't go that far down the rabbit hole. I just look at it wouldn't even matter if there was 10 Hillary Clintons out there. It wouldn't matter at all because it's what do they want her to do? What do they want out of it? That's all you need to know is what is the goal? What is the end game? We don't always know the end game, but we can get a good picture of the direction they're taking it. And if you ask yourself this, if you're law enforcement military, since 2008, have you seen any one law come in that's actually bettered your country? Ask yourself that. Made your country safer. Have you seen one DHS law or CIA law, to arrest people and stop a terrorist attack? Have you seen one law do that? Now, have you also seen people who've blown the whistle on, the corruption go to jail? Ask yourself that. So who's your real enemy? This is what you have to ask yourself. Who's your real enemy? Is it the people? Because if you think it is, again, the atonement for that, again, I'm not making any threats. I'm just telling you that in a populist uprising, I can't warn people any more than I can. I can't tell you to do the right thing. You have to come to that conclusion on your own. You have to restore rule of law or it goes batshit crazy and you become a banana republic like, South America. If you want to have dictator of the week, follow Comey, follow these, these CIA directors and all that into the wars. And if you follow that stuff, if you enable it, you are a terrorist. It's that simple. You have to do the right thing. Arrest these people. One charge, crimes against humanity. Very easy to do. And yes, there's a lot of people out there who would rather put these people under a guillotine. I get that. But if you do it that way, and go vigilante justice, where does it stop? Does it stop where people agree with you or you disagree with them? Where do you lose your head? And that's how it plays out in history. It just goes so batshit crazy radical. The good guys, there is no good guys. It's just who wants to be authoritarian over the next people. And it's disgusting. So we really do need, if there was ever a time for law enforcement military to step up, yes, they are trying to restore rule of law. Some of them you could see it. But when those people fail, and they will fail, it's very, very clear that at that point the law enforcement is going to go, they're going to start knocking people off behind the scenes. Again, it's not the people who it's not the people who commit the crimes, it's the people who investigate the crimes, right? So if you have an investigator that is running defense for, aka these hellhounds, saying, it looked like it was just a street thug that stole his watch and killed off this guy who was about to pass a bill on this. It didn't happen, right? Well, that's the kind of banana republic stuff you see in Mexico. Oh, it was just a mugging, it was just a this, it was just that. But it just happened to be a guy that was really prominent and going to do something good for the country, or something really bad for the country, right? Spy via spy stuff. And I do believe the active duty law enforcement are going to be worse than anything. But it steps up, it paves the way for a military coup. And under a military coup, are you going to get George Washington, a Saddam Hussein, or a Fidel Castro? The odds are not in favor of liberty. Just saying. So this is what you have to keep in mind. So that's it. And you have to think of the long coup on this. When the United States, when Hillary Clinton wins, there's going to be secession movements all over the place. Everybody's going to want to break up the states, which is exactly what the New World Order wants. Why? Because it's easier to pick off smaller countries than bigger countries. Right now, the U.S. military, by law, whatever, has to defend the entire country. But not if it succeeds. Then it doesn't have to defend that part of the country. And you can tear it apart however you want to tear it apart. That type of thing. Now, Texas will always remain in the hands of the New World Order because it's too wealthy. It's like the 7th largest economy on the planet, from last I heard. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not, but it's got a pretty big economy. So, yeah, they're obviously going to want to control that. But the have-not states, well, they'll just go under dictatorship like that. The left-wing states, well, they're not much you can really say there. They're already going along willingly, you know what I mean? So, if they're willing to vote Hillary, well, then Hillary will take you to hell with a smile. I swear to God. Like, it's so obvious. So, I don't know. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I just wonder how many people are going to get shot at the polling stations tonight. The voter intimidation. I wonder if we're going to have that little geeky little Black Lives Matter, Black Panther guy there, King, whatever he calls himself, whatever, out there's yelling at all the crackers again. I think that guy's going to get shot. I'm not calling for it, but I'm just saying, guys like that usually, they usually don't last too long in these things. So I think they're going to be vandalism. You're going to see leftists, basically terrorizing everywhere. I think, if not tonight, tomorrow night, the next couple of days, you're going to see revolt in pockets all over the place, no matter which way it goes. Just have yourself your food, your safety. If you need to get out of the area because it's a bad area, maybe have a plan. Take a couple of days off work. Whatever. You know what's going on in your area. A small town like this, I don't have to worry about, and I'm in Canada. I'm not in the States. But if I was in the States, if this was in the States, I would probably have to, be mindful of who you voted for, right? That type of thing. Right now, you got families like, husbands and wives probably divorcing each other, family members not talking to each other over this election because they think it's about two people. They don't realize the bigger geopolitical empirism that it's really about. Once you understand that, then all this other little stuff is just a distraction. You see right through the subversion program. Once you understand, to me, I look at a subversion program. Once I understood what it was like the scene out of Roddy Piper in They Live, where he puts on the glasses and he sees the aliens for the first time. And then you obey. You see it everywhere. Well, that's exactly what the world is like for me. It's like I see it as soon as I see a subversion. I might not know right away, but there's some sort of a signature or fingerprint that you can't quite nail it down right away. But it's like I suspect this is going to happen. This. There you go. It was a plan all along. So it doesn't mean it is, and that's not conspiracy theory. It's just kind of like it becomes predictable because if it's a plan that they're after something, you just have to figure out what they're after. Once they figure out what they're after, then it works out into the same way you what they want all along. There's a lot of psychology, reverse psychology, and stuff like that goes on it. Now, am I a psychologist? No. Do I got all those degrees? No. But if you're a thinker, you don't need degrees to think. Like either you think or you don't. And it's very, very clear that this could be a bigger play than what we think. The benefits of a Trump lose is a civil war. It gives rule for martial law, a reason to take all the guns, scrap the Constitution, bring in the United Nations Safe Cities Act into full swing with basically UN troops on the ground, because they'll be more willingly to open fire on. But you have complete militarization. You get rid of posse comitatus, and then once that's gone, then you're going to have soldiers opening fire on the citizens left, right, and center. Most soldiers will do this. Yes, a lot of them. I know the states might be a slight exception to the rule, but not much, not by much. Human nature is human nature. Yes, it's probably easier to get a communist-minded Bolshevik to open fire on their citizens than a constitutional sheriff or a constitutional soldier, but it's not impossible. And in the masses, usually when they're given an order, they will follow it. Yes, the U.S. military will most likely murder its own citizens when given the order. Some people join the military to serve and protect, and the same with law enforcement. Others join to kill people. You have to factor that in. But once they see one guy do it, the penguin effect takes over. Well, this guy killed 8 people today, so then I can do it. You don't believe me? What do you think happened in Iraq? You know what I mean? That was just following orders. That's what these all are, just following orders. Not that I have no faith in the military, but the history shows that no, it usually doesn't. They usually do the wrong thing, and then they beg for forgiveness after. I was just following orders. We saw it in the Ukraine. All these Berkut guys on their knees telling the people, "Oh, we're so sorry," after the government got overthrown by the neo-Nazis. I mean, these guys followed orders. They followed orders. They did their job. They know what their job is. That's what a soldier does. They do their job. That's what they're trained to do. It's not question the orders. Do the orders. Same with the law enforcement. They're not told to question. They're not taught to think. You know, that's the biggest thing you have to factor in. That's why it's only after when they figure out that they were brainwashed, you know, that these veterans, that's why they probably kill themselves at a rate of 22 a day, is they realize what they did in the name of the bankers. You know, that type of thing. Now, can you imagine how they're going to feel when they do this to their own people? Wow, it's going to be horrible. But that said, there's way more people. Again, the problem is the populist uprising. Yes, there will be secession movements and populist uprising, but the United States is so divided now into so many groups that it might be impossible to restore it. I don't think Trump can restore balance that way, but he could set it up for the next guy, whoever it might be, maybe a Rand Paul type or possibly a new Ron Paul type, to come in, take it to the next level of liberty, calm things down, get rid of all the gender parity stuff in Agenda 2030. This is why, like, people don't see the evil of the United Nations. All the laws coming into Canada now are pretty much coming in right from the United Nations, and that should tell you everything you need to know. You know, the United Nations is as evil as, again, Kissinger, Soros, Brzezinski, Rothschilds, Rockefellers. It just goes on and on and on. So that's why, you know, like, again, I really don't know exactly how it's going to play out exactly, but if my hunches are correct, no matter which way we go, there's going to be destabilization. If you have a Hillary win, you're going to have a civil war, a race war, and possibly a thermonuclear war with Russia. And considering the media is on her side, the politicians are on her side, the banking is on her side, the war machine is on her side, everything is on her side. The voting is rigged in her favor. They're busing people around to vote multiple times. She could actually win legitimately. She could win legitimately. It's that terrifying. That said, a Donald Trump win, yes, you're going to get an economic collapse, a civil war and a race war. The civil war will mostly be fought between the populace, not against so much the system. But under Clinton, the civil war is the system against the people. So it's a little different, but you'll survive that. The economic collapse, many won't survive it, but we'll survive. I think we're about to see things unbelievable that we can't even predict. Because you can't have that many people at the top being that evil, trying to take us in a direction without the historical norm is at some point, yes, they round you up. They didn't build FEMA camps just to hold people forever. I know, like, some people are Holocaust deniers, some people know the Holocaust happened, whatever. There's been more than one Holocaust, not just a bunch of Jews rounded up into internment camps. Now, that said, I do believe Jews got rounded up into internment camps because they became the enemy of the day. Do I believe 6 million? No. But I do believe 11 million people died under Hitler. Now, was Hitler a good guy or a bad guy? Well, 11 million people died under Hitler in the camps, whether they were Jew or not. It was people who were against the system. Under Joseph Stalin, 60 or 80 million people died, or 20 million. I can't remember the number. Joseph Stalin said the death of a man is a tragedy, death of millions is a statistic. And he was right. You just blur. Mao Zedong, 60 million, 80 million. Nobody really knows the numbers. Pol Pot, 60 million, 20 million, 40 million. whatever it is, Gingrich, Yagoda. That's who Hillary Clinton is. That's the type of character that comes. Again, history doesn't always repeat, but it rhymes. That's the kind of cloth she is cut from. She is a genocidal maniac. The crackdown on right-wingers is going to be, first it'll be anti-bullying laws like we've seen, but now we're seeing in Canada that they're, if a teacher, we have a teacher that's going to be pulled in front of the human rights tribunals, again, unelected social justice warriors who are going to decide the fate of this man by either fining him, and when he doesn't pay the fine, he gets to go to jail. He gets to go to jail. That's this time around. The next time around, it's a fine into the gulag, and then from the gulag to the firing squad. You're put up against a post or a wall, and then you're just shot. Takes them outside and shoots them. That's how these things work out. They work out that way all the time. Oh, but it'll never happen here because this is a nice place. But we hear that all the time after every one of those things happen. So this is the times we're living in. This is where it's leading to. Prepare the best you can. Remember, your money is not your money. That at some point, everything is going to be, when Hillary Clinton gets in, the one world currency will come in. And then, I guess, if you want to put the biblical reference on that, even though I'm not that religious, but you will see this so-called mark of the beast thing where you can't buy, sell, or trade unless you have the mark of the beast. Doesn't necessarily mean you'll be microchipped, but they are talking about it. That's what David Rockefeller wants, a microchip in every human being. And, of course, we have to factor in the satanic level of this. That's, yes, if you don't do what they want, yes, you could starve to death. You can die. You can whatever. You can't have money outside the system. You can't have a competing currency. Those people that believe in Bitcoin and stuff like that, I have nothing wrong with Bitcoin. You have to understand it's digital. They're going to take that away like that. That's going to be outlawed as soon as the one world currency comes in, whether you want to use it or not. They'll just, again, I wouldn't even doubt if it was them that introduced it. Nobody knows who really introduced this Bitcoin thing. Right? So people speculate who've done it, some Japanese guy or whatever, but, again, we don't know who the creator is, right? So that type of thing. So again, I can just see a lot of bad things coming out of it. So anyway, next to that, tomorrow I think is going to be an interesting day. I'll leave it at that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has supported the channel. Rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourself. Be true to others. Always do the right thing. And have yourselves a great day. Hey, hi, and welcome. Hi. It's good to check out my butt. All right. All right. So I got a World War III update for you. Really banging out the videos today. It's kind of cool. My fire ain't going. I guess my wood's too green. All right, so don't have a lot, but I got like anything. Got stuff. Okay, NATO allied drills in Romania. They're going on. I don't think they've stopped, but they got a new round. Assange said he's not working for the Russians. That's right, but it always benefits the Russians. But again, we live in a world where all the Russians have to do to make the U.S. look bad is tell the truth, right? So we're living those kind of times. So that's kind of crazy times. I don't know about Assange. So Snowden. I'm pretty sure Snowden is a double, triple, quadruple times infinity spy. It just fits. Now Assange could be a spy. That is very possible. I mean, he's still alive, to my knowledge. I think Snowden is still alive, to my knowledge. After Clinton wins, I don't think they will be. They do seem to have military, Jack Boot thugs sitting outside the Ecuadorian embassy where Assange is to arrest him. Think of the money that they're spending on to arrest this guy. Think about that. Now, there's something that you have to understand about Julian Assange. And this is the thing that's the most telling, is they're going after him because he's releasing secrets and national security. But they're not denying anything he's saying. So, they don't care that what he's saying is true. Which, if you're an FBI agent or CIA or whatever, or DHS or anything like that, and you hear this stuff, an NSA or whatever, you hear this stuff, and you're not turning on your system and going after the directors, then you are part of the system. You are a terrorist. You are anti-patriot. You are anti-constitutional. You hate your own country if you hold up that system. You need to put those people in jail. Once the whistleblowers have come forward, yes, you can. And under Obama, more whistleblowers have been persecuted than any other president in history. The transparency president, I don't think so. But he does. Yeah, the fact that nobody's denying it. He does. Again, is he working for the Russians? It doesn't really matter if he is or not. Think about what he's exposing, right? Clinton admits that she wanted to rig the election. In what you call it, for Israel. So basically, again, that's how these Zionist neocons always talk, is everything for Israel. So Palestine had this election, not sure about all the details on it, and it went into their favor, and she was like, she would like to do that. So if you don't think Israel would have the United States at war like that as soon as Hillary Clinton wins, think again. Steve Pachenik out there talking about is U.S. soft coup. I should do a video solely on that, because I do follow Steve Pachenik on Alex Jones as much as possible, but like anything, where's the proof of what he's saying? You do see some of the revolt in the FBI, that is clear, that type of thing. You can kind of see patterns of it, but he does make references to Henry Kissinger, which makes me nervous, because he makes Henry Kissinger sound like a good guy. He thanks the Trump family, a non-political family, for stepping up for the country for this soft coup. So was Trump in on it all along? I don't know. I really don't know. He also gives Bernie Sanders a kind of a nod. So, and keeps referring to Bernie Sanders. So I really don't know if Steve Pachenik, I do believe he is a good guy hellhound, but I do believe he is a gray area hellhound. And the hellhounds, the reason why I got to keep putting out the hellhounds, so you can recognize them when you see them. Hellhounds attack the system. Hydra attack the people. So Hell Hydra, loyalists, they believe in one cause. You can't reason with them. You can't bargain with them. They just show up in the droves. You kill one, 10 more pop up. And you could see these guys as ISIS or whatever. They just attack the populace mainly. They do go after Assad or whatever, but they're mainly attacking the populace, that type of thing. Whereas you would look at, people who attack the system, I hate to use them, but Justin Bork up here in Canada, he was kind of like the signifying of the hellhounds, where he went after RCMP officers. You got that guy that went after police officers in the States there in Ohio, I believe it was, a couple of days ago or a week ago. Again, a hellhound. They go after the system. The two military guys that went after law enforcement, the African-American guys, for Black Lives Matter. You would think they were Hydra, but no, they're actually hellhounds. Doesn't mean they're good, doesn't mean they're bad. It means they go after the system. So hellhounds go after the system. Donald Trump is going after the system. He is a hellhound. Steve Pachenik is a hellhound. He's going after the system. But he's a good guy or a bad guy, I don't know. There are questions. Alex Jones is a hellhound. He's going after the system. These are first wave hellhounds. Second wave are much more violent. They will most likely be active duty law enforcement and military, and they will most likely kill politicians and judges and lawyers and people in the system, probably even their own. We're not going to know the names of these people unless they get caught. It'll be very spy via spy, James Bond-ish kind of stuff, 007. When 007 gets knocked off, in comes 008 and 009. We'll probably get up to 1053. There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of. Just watch for a lot of world elites just dropping dead, suicides, that type of thing, and prominent people. Days before they testify in banking and stuff. We saw it with the 84 bankers killed in 1 year. Well, it might have been more like 115 bankers, but I know 84 for sure that got killed off in 2011, 2010. Mass banker suicides. You're starting to see a new round of those. They're still low, but their banker suicides are not out of the norm. But the ones that jump off buildings are probably pretty legit. But the 90-pound or 110-pound women that jump through plate glass windows on the 8th floor, I don't know. I think they might have been given a little bit of extra. And the guys that the bankers that shoot themselves in the back of the head with the nail guns 9 times. Yes, pass loads can jump on you. But 9 times, again, 5 is my record, and that's on a 2x4, straight on, that type of thing. So, again, I do know how things work. That's why it's hard to pull the wool over my eyes on stuff, because, okay, I'm not a mechanical engineer, but sometimes it's just like, that doesn't work. You can't do that without help, you can't strangle yourself off a door when the doorknob is too low. You know what I mean? Like, you really can't do that. It just doesn't work, like that type of thing. You can't